Welcome back, RealVacantLand.com. This is Luke Smith, and today I've got some land I'd like to sell that I'd like to show you and see if you agree with me. This particular property is in Walla Walla, Washington, and it's retail land, and we've got Petco over my shoulder here. There's Petco there, and then Big Five Sporting Goods there, and the property I've got is this lot right beyond Big Five Sporting Goods on the highway. Lots of traffic in Walla Walla, Washington. There's a road. You can drive right up there. There's parking lots built, utilities there. The building pad it's set up for a 6,500 square foot building or smaller, or you could use part of that as something else. But you could build up to a 6,500 square foot building pad with the engineering, surveying, and everything for this lot here. So with that in mind, I looked at a whole bunch of buildings that are around Washington that are 6,500 square foot. What do people build 6,500 square foot buildings? Commercial. You can do retail here. We could do office or retail. I care more about retail than office, so I started researching retail. I looked at Petco. I looked at Big Five. I looked at other parking lots of Petco and Big Five, and I saw a lot of banks and credit unions. And I looked up buildings of 6,500 square foot, and I found a lot of banks and credit unions, big banks that bought out credit unions or smaller banks, local regional banks, and ended up with these locations. I think they used to be built a lot in the past. And then so this morning I looked up everything that was built in Washington in the last 3 years that was between 6,000 and 7,000 square foot. So the last 3 years, this is like COVID times, right? So it's a weird market to go be building things, but some things were started before and they're finished during, and you know what I mean. So 6,000 to 7,000 square foot, and I got I don't know, 400 or 500 properties, and a lot of them were houses. And so I got rid of the houses and I narrowed it down, and I looked at ones that had prices that traded. So somebody bought a piece of land like this, right? And then they built their building. And then what is it today? How much did they pay for the land before they built what it is it today? That's what I'm researching. And the idea here is that I myself can learn from this of what people are paying for these kinds of lots. I could understand what people are building on these kinds of lots, so I could market this lot specifically to those people. I could reach out direct market to people that would be building something the size that fits next to here, that would be next to Big Five Sporting Goods and Petco. Like, there's a pretty specific recipe, right? And so there's probably some landlords that build those kinds of buildings, stick their tenant in there and go for it. And they probably have those tenants in other parts of Washington that are not set up in Walla Walla yet, right? So who would that be? What is it? What kind of business, what kind of shop goes there? And so if I figure that out, I can reverse engineer it, go market to those people and sell it to those people, right? And I got to make sure I've got a good price, because this is rural vacant land and we do the cheapest, easiest land around, right? So I got to do that. And that's the idea of this research. So I spent hours and hours going through lots of these properties, and I've got it narrowed down to a list. And before we jump into that, let's look. I got some pictures on the screen. Let's look at some pictures of this property. I'll give you an idea of what we're looking at before we jump in and we look at the comparables that have traded and built in the last 3 years to see what was built. Okay, so I'm on Crexy.com, and this is their website, their pictures. These pictures were taken by the realtor John Love and his crew, and this is a picture of the property. This is all the property over here, but the place you're going to build is back up further on. You can see utilities running through. The utilities are all there. So here's a picture we were just looking at. The highways over here, a bunch of traffic going by, 4-lane highway. You can build your shop and show people what you have to sell. So here's your parking lot. You can use this parking lot. The shop would be that dirt, brown. We just got the weeds cut off of there a month or two ago, so you can see it. And just all these, just infrastructure, underground utilities, that's not the question here. Here's a overview of the thing from above. Here's where you'd actually build. Here's the highway of the traffic going by. This is really commercial zone in Walla Walla, a bunch of traffic, right? We got a whole bunch of upside down pictures just to like get your attention. No, it's actually a mistake. We're trying to get it fixed. So there's the lot looking at it from above. This is just, it's a flat pad. This is where you build. All this other stuff, like forget about it. This is where you build right on the parking lot. It's all set up, ready to go. We got a new sign on the property showing people to drive by. This thing's for sale. There's the people putting the sign together. Okay, so it's a flat lot. It's a lot. It's land. You look at enough properties, like, okay, they start looking the same. Here's some more upside down pictures. Let's jump out of there. So we're on the website. There's engineering of where to build and what, and we've got more engineering of the different lots and surveys and where the infrastructure is, and we've got all that kind of stuff. So if you got those questions, if you're serious about building here, we'll dig all that paperwork out and show you that paperwork and share and everything else. So on and on and on. We've got diagrams. I'll put a link in the description below to bring you back to this website. I made videos in the past about building a bank here because I thought, and I still think this would be a good location for a bank. And the most common thing I can find that's built next to Big Five Sporting Goods and Petco is a bank or a credit union. So it seems like a bank or credit union goes next to these ones too. Okay, so then I went into a different piece of software. This is called Property Radar. I use Property Radar a good deal because I do. They recently expanded the whole country, and they've got, you can see the data on a map. It's not just in a bunch of data lines, and you got to go look them up and stuff. So you can click on it and get information, and some of the data is 3D, like some of the other software I've got access to. It's not 3D. And Luke, what do you mean by 3D? Like this whatever's on the screen here. Transactions, you can see like recent transactions, not just the latest transaction. You can like go back in history, transaction. You can pull up the paperwork on those transactions. You can read about them. You can see the details. You can say this makes sense or not, et cetera, right? Okay, so let's do a split view on this thing. So I've got the data. So this list below is a curated list that I made. I did a search in this system for the last buildings that were built within the last 3 years that are 6,000 to 7,000 square foot buildings. And I got rid of residential stuff because I first started looking at it. It was a lot of houses and apartments or fourplexes and threeplexes and industrial. I want stuff that's like the property that I'm looking at, right? Not all these other weird things. So I got it narrowed down to that. And then out of there was 30 or 40 of them, and a lot of them didn't have prices. They didn't have prices because somebody's owned it for a long time, and they bought a big chunk of land, and they developed along the way, and they got different loans for different developments on that land and attached to that piece, the APN of that piece, but it doesn't have the price tag of that piece because they bought it in a bigger piece and they cut it up. It's a classic commercial way of doing it. And land trade, you buy a big piece of land and break it up and develop off the pieces. And then how do you get the cost basis or the price of each piece? And you don't. So I got that stuff out of here because it doesn't make sense to compare to. I left 2 or 3 of them in here so we can see what they're actually building on those kinds of properties that don't have prices. So some of these don't have prices, and the purchase amounts in these things don't make sense because sometimes they bought the land, they built something, and then they sold the whatever they built. So we can't just look at that. We have to look at the 3D price and see if we can figure out what they paid for the property before they built the thing, because we've got a property that's pre-built, right? So with all that disclaimer stuff and setting the base of where we're at, let's jump into it. So we're looking at some properties. I'm just going to go down this list. This list isn't in any particular order. I've got some notes about these different properties on my desk here to like kind of keep me on page. And I'm going to try to go fast, but this will probably take a long time. So just bear with me if you like this kind of thing, and we'll see what kind of conclusions we come to. Okay, so the first property is, well, this is one of the ones that doesn't have a price. Okay, so we're on a map. It's on a street, and it's like getting built out. And this particular one here, ends in 94. I think I got this one started. Yeah, so I got this one started. So this is a different piece of software. And so I was just talking about how great that software is. None of these pieces of software solve everything I want. So this is a different software. This Neighborhood Scoop, I really like this software too. I use this a lot. You put the county APN in there and you start getting these kinds of maps. Okay, so we get this in here. We're going to pull this up, and you can get like 2D data on this one. You can see what the last trade was, but you don't get 3D data going back in history to see like trade, transactions. So that what we're trying to do right now, you kind of need more history. Okay, so that previous map was Microsoft mapping. Now I'm into Google mapping. Microsoft mapping, it showed a building here. So they had more accurate data than the Google mapping, but the Google mapping is easier to use. So Google mapping has got names of the buildings on here, whether they're there or not. And so all these different sets of data give me more information. Okay, so there's a McDonald's, brand new McDonald's right there next door. We've got a freeway over here. So a freeway and cloverleaf action going on. We've got truck service fueling thing here, and then we've got this that says taqueria camatillo. I'm like, what? Okay, so it's Mexican food. Like they're making Mexican food restaurant on this property. Well, that's pretty cool. And then I found all these different spots. So I think it's a Mexican food on this side, and on this side it's like, I was looking at this earlier. This is like a dental office, like here's your x-ray machine and everything. Like you can go tour, they're probably trying to, whatever. They did 3D bubble tours of this thing and that are uploaded on Google. And so here you can, well, you can't read it. Well, it does. It says that West Plains Dental. So there's dental on this side, and then there's Mexican food on the other side. So while you're getting your teeth clean, you can probably smell the food next door, right? Okay, so that's one building. That's a 6,500 square foot kind of building, as dental office and a Mexican food in the same building. There's an example. Example one. Okay, so let me just check these off. I'm going to go down. I got them in different order on my list. Okay, so there's one, but that one didn't have a price. So that's not a really good example, but it gives you the kind of stuff that's built there. A lot of next door to Petco and Big Five, when I was looking around all kinds of areas, were dental offices. That was on my hit list. It wasn't the number one. Banks and credit unions are the number ones, but dental offices and restaurants are very common too. Okay, let's go to this one. This one's on Highway 90, so there's a freeway going by. There's a buttload of traffic, right? And then, let me see if I remember which one this is. Oh, yeah. Okay, so this is right next to a McDonald's, too. There's a McDonald's across the street. We've got a church, I think. And then behind us, we got the freeway, but there's no real exit. You got the freeway, but you don't have the traffic coming off of it. You just get the noise and the pollution. But there's a nice four-laner. I'm pretty sure that's four-laner with a turning lane in the middle in front of it. And then there's a Mexican food place here. And then if we take that, if we pull this up in Google imagery instead of whatever this stuff is, the free stuff that they're using, you got to pay to use Google imagery. Like on my website, I pay license fee to Google. And the more traffic you guys accumulate on my website, the more I got to pay Google. And so these other people don't like to pay Google like I do. But I like, here my phone starts going because I said the word. But I like the when we're looking at properties. Okay, so here's a new building here. And, oh, right. Okay, so I did some research, and this is actually a Domino's Pizza. They built a Domino's Pizza on this lot. And that's not a four-laner. That's like, it's all one way. 1, 2, 3. It is 4 lanes, but it's going one way. 4 lanes, one way. That's a lot of traffic. That's pretty nice. So 3rd Avenue, wherever this is, Spokane, Washington, bunch of traffic. They did a Domino's Pizza. And this one, there's a price tag. Okay, so let's go back to transactions. They paid 750 grand. So they bought that old Mexican food place. They ripped it down because we saw it in the pictures. The one of these pictures somewhere. Whatever. You get the point. They ripped down the Mexican food place and they built the Domino's. They paid 750 grand for that location, and they built the same size shop that would go on our property. So you could theoretically build a Domino's on our property. If you're a Domino's person, they paid 750 grand for that, and I've got this location up for sale for $284,500. Okay, let's keep going down the list. That's like, 1/3 basically the price of what they paid to put a Domino's over there. Now there's different kinds of traffic, it's different areas and everything, but still, trying to figure out ways to price this, right? Okay, so the next one, warranty deed, but non-market. So this wasn't on the actual market kind of deed. It wasn't marketed that the software could tell. But so this is 626,000. See if I figure out which one that was. Oh, right. This is an interesting one. So they paid theoretically $626,935,000, or maybe it was I don't know. I think this one is a white elephant, in my opinion. I'll wait to tell you. I'll show you what we get to. Like, I would throw this one out. But when it came to comping out these properties, I'll show you what happened, or what was built on this one. Spokane County, Washington. A lot of the development that's been happening the last couple of years in the whole state of Washington has been in Spokane, however you say it. So here's a satellite view from above of this property. And let's do it this way. So we're going to fly into this thing, see if we can get some street view, take a look at it, check it out. Okay, so I looked this thing up. This just looks like an abandoned white elephant, right? Like they built this thing and then nobody moved in. Or maybe it's just big. They still got the available sign out front, even though it's built. Maybe one of their tenants went out of business while they're building it. I don't know. But this side is, with some more research, it turns out it's an architect's office. So an architectural firm, probably, who's a local. I got their name and everything. They're like local mom family operation, and they built this thing, designed it, built it, and went for it. And I don't think you're gonna build one of these next door, but maybe somebody does. $626,000 they paid for land to build, and then they borrowed money to build a building like this next to it. They got tires next door, and it's on a street here. I think this is a 4-lane, 2-lane in either direction with a turning lane, and just commercial up and down the road. This is the kind of area we're in, the same kind of the same kind of traffic, I'm guessing. So 626,000 for this one, but this one's a little weird. This is an exception to the list. Okay, so let's jump out of there. Let's do the next one. Right about now, I'm wishing I had a better order of these properties. Oh, take a look at this thing before they built it. It's like U-Haul. They got brand new apartments in the back here and a storage facility on this side. And they're doing the owner was an old gas station. I'm pretty sure this is an old gas station lot. Sunoco, like an old, they're selling sheds and renting U-Hauls, and they're probably just renting the property until building permits come through someday, or they figure out what to do with it. Okay, so let's go back. So 1, 2, 3, Pacific Pie. There's a pie manufacturer, pie baker, pie company, a restaurant, whatever this is. Here's older Street View, like Microsoft Street View. They've got the, now available sign, additional space for lease or sale. Somebody bought one. Let's go to transactions. Let's see, they paid $275. This is one of the cheapest ones. $275,000. The cheapest one that I could find in the whole state. $275,000. We're asking $284,000. They had it marketed for they were asking $280,000 when it was on the market. And then, okay, let's go see this thing. Pulling it up. It's spinning its wheels. Thanks for listening. Thanks for watching this, guys. Again, there's a link in the description if you want to go back to the website, Real Vacant Land, look at other properties or this property or any other properties. And I'm always interested. I'm always looking at these properties in different ways, different angles, because I buy a lot of properties and trying to figure out the pricing of them and pricing them, making offers and everything. So here's a brand new building, the same size that could go on ours, and it's owned by Pacific Pie Inc. And there's a whole bunch of tennis courts across the street. This looks like a 4-lane road with no turning lane in front of us. So hopefully same kinds of traffic. I mean, ours is a highway and stuff, but theirs is going through town. Maybe I should go like compare traffic on each one of these properties, but that takes a lot of time. So Street View, we're still seeing it under construction. It looks like some apartments next door. So this is a pie. Oh, they did Domino's. That's why it's a pie. This is Domino's Pizza. Okay. So Domino's Pizza. And that's their pie, right? It wasn't actually Mama's apple pies or whatever. It's Domino's Pizza. So there's 2 Domino's Pizza. They paid $275 for this location. They paid $750 for that other location. So maybe Domino's Pizza and whoever rents out to Domino's Pizza is somebody we should be marketing, because they're building recently in the state. That's good to know. And they're paying money. Okay, so the next, we had the Pacific Pie Inc. Next, Hess Bradley D and whatever this one is. Let's look at transactions. Okay, $350,000. Let me find that one. Okay, $350, and it went to O'Reilly Auto something. So O'Reilly Auto Parts. So it turned into an auto parts store. And let's see the site location. Let's see what the auto equipment. Where was this? Snohomish County. We'll pull that one up. So $350. We're asking $284. They paid $350 for this location, and then built the same size building that would fit on our property. They're on a highway. It's just a vacant lot before they got started. We already have a parking lot. Utilities are set up. This is your classic auto parts store looking location though. And there's the store. So it went from dirt to store the last couple of years. O'Reilly Auto Parts. Still says O'Reilly's on there. And then Street View is not set up yet, but they've got a sign that's future O'Reilly's coming soon, right? Work at the O'Reilly's, and then there's probably an old auto parts store next door. But okay, so they paid 350 grand for that. Let's see what the next one was. CFT NV Development. Let's see if we can figure out who that is. I should have taken better notes. 1.6. Oh, I know what this one is. So they paid, this was a marketed transaction in 2018, February 2018. They bought this thing for 1.6 million bucks. Here's a whole bunch of history, like you can see. You see in here when people didn't pay to get the roof fixed, and you got mechanics liens and all that stuff shows up in these kinds of title history. So Snohomish County, well, here's some Microsoft data. So Microsoft still has it as a Denny's, like back whenever they were still driving around and taking pictures. And then if we go to some different data sets, well, let's do this. So Snohomish County, 1.6 million. It's way more than we're asking. But they already had a restaurant on this thing. They already had a parking lot. They already had the utilities. I mean, it's obviously a restaurant place. Got Jack in the Box across the street. Got a motel behind it. Looks like a nice traffic street here. Meijer, or some kind of grocery store across the street. I thought I saw Meijer, but that's like Midwest. Fred Meyer, okay. This one turned into a Panda Express and a Wingstop. So, like, that would be, I think that would be awesome to put next to on our property. So that's an example of what is being built in today's market and economy and everything. There's Panda Express with a drive-through, like a big Panda Express drive-through, and a Wingstop. So Wingstop's got like the inside seating. Panda Express is doing a lot more drive-through takeout, I'm guessing. But Panda Express and Wingstop in the same building. If we jump into, let's see if it works in Street View to take a look at this thing. Oh, look, they even do the drive-through. Let's see. Well, no, that's why it didn't work. There's the old Denny's. So Denny's got blown out. Sorry, Denny's. We don't have to be open 24/7, and we still make more money as Panda Express and Wingstop. Yeah, so Street View's too old, but you can see it in the satellite view. Wingstop, Panda Express. So I think that would be an awesome kind of thing to build on this property. And that's what people are doing and building, making happen. Starbucks, I mean, that's a similar size building too. Starbucks and some other little shops in there. But that's older built. This is brand new built. Like they bulldozed that thing and started over. Okay, so let me check that one off. What's the next one on the list? They paid $1.6 million for that property. That was just, see, okay. Changeables or whatever. Transactions. Oh, this one was on the market, $516,000. I guess this is an older trade date. This is 05 by the time they actually traded this thing. So that's like before the market crash. So this price, It's higher than the other ones and the other basic ones in the list that are like mainly in the 300s, but 516 because it's older trade. So now let's take a look at this. What has happened here since then? So they bought it a long time ago. We're talking King County. King County, Washington. We're skipping all over the state because it's a pretty specific bill to fill, right? I mean, maybe I should do the whole West Coast. Unchangeable Changer LLC. Sounds like a good name. So they bought this thing, and let's see. This is the newer building. I want to get a. Let me see if I can get a satellite of the older building. Yeah, here we go. Okay, so take a look at this satellite imagery. Now it's saying there's a hair studio, Cindy Shong Hair Studio. The roof's got a hole in it, right? So they bought some old junky building. It's a real estate office and maybe a car parts, or I don't know, whatever happened. Probably a meth lab blew up or who knows what happened in here. The roof went poof and they didn't keep it up. Storage in the background. They went out of business. Like this thing, the bank probably ended up with it. And then they ripped it down. They built this new building. So this street view of whatever this new building is, it's not the L shape that it was before. They did a 2-story one. Maybe they're trying to get some views. I don't know. So hair studio, office, 2-story retail of some kind. They paid 516 grand for the land. They didn't pay for that building with the dumpy roof because it's gone. They ripped it down. They started over, and or maybe they did, and the thing crashed. I don't know. It's been a long time since they bought this one, so the prices aren't as relevant as the others. But it was 516 grand that they paid for it. Okay, so let's find the next one on the list. Clark County, let's see. Let's go transactions so I can maybe figure out which one this is. Okay, 300 grand. You see, look, there's mechanics lien for ABC Roofing Company. Didn't get paid, so they put a lien on the property. 32 grand. 2015. So they bought this thing in a marketed transaction in 2015 for 300 grand. So where's my 300 grand one? Okay. Oh yeah. So this one, they ended up building a K-Town Korea barbecue. Let's look it up. And then Clark. I think the sun's moving. I'm gonna have to change the lighting here if it doesn't. I gotta end quick or change the lighting. Bear with me. See if we make it. Okay, so here it is. They built a Korean barbecue on the street corner, and this is 4 lanes corner, another 2 lanes, 2-laner and a 4-laner, and looks like you're gonna have traffic here. We got houses in the background. There's some other restaurants across the street. This looks like more of a restaurant location. So here, I don't know if you can see it on the screen, but it says K-Town Barbecue. Boba Fett. There's a bunch of very ethnic named food locations around. Carl's Jr. up the street, and Walmart. Petco across the street. There's our Petco. And then, yeah, so It's down the street from a Petco. We share a parking lot with a Petco. I think this is a very ethnic part of town. Riverview Community Bank across the street, some strip malls, and here's the new restaurant. Looks like a beautiful building that they're setting up. I wonder if that's real brick or if that's just a facade, like slapped on the veneer or something. But it's a nice looking building, built to really get on the street and try to get some attention with the parking in the back. Coming soon, Korea barbecue. Okay. So there it is. That's what they're building. That's what they built. What's up next? I think we got one or two left, if you bear with me. I don't think any of the other ones have pricing. So we've gone through the ones that basically have pricing, but you can see what the other ones were built. These other ones were different parts of Washington. So we're in Clark County. This one didn't have pricing. So I'm not even going to waste the time clicking over there. So, auto parts store, hair store, multiplex kinds of places, dentist. What else do we have? The architect building. We had restaurants like the Korean barbecue, and we've got 2 Domino's Pizza and the dental office. So far, it's Domino's Pizza is the winner of doing the most building in Washington State with these size properties. Greenbridge Properties. I don't remember which one this was. Oh, this turned into an animal hospital. Okay, so I'll save you the torture of looking this one up. This one turned out to be an animal hospital. And with the property divisions and stuff, I didn't get a pricing how much they actually paid for this property or when they bought it, but it turned into an animal hospital. So an animal hospital is another potential use. And then one more property of this size that I found. And this last one here didn't have a price either. So I'll pull it up because I think you can see more of this property in this view. And this software has Street View, but it's Microsoft Street View, and I want to get into Google Street View because it's usually more up to date. Not always. Microsoft has some places covered that Google doesn't, and vice versa. And sometimes the dates are better on others or not, but Google's usually more up to date than the Microsoft one in my experience. Okay, so here we're part of a parking lot on a big road. This looks like 4-laner with a turning lane in the middle and access on and off. There's a Mexican grill over here. There's another vacant lot here that'd be a nice one to work on someday. Hobby Lobby behind us. There's a T-Mobile. Party City. They're probably going off with Halloween and stuff. Floors. Different shops. Sofa Mart. Wine Cellar. Sears. There's the mall. This is like the town mall is over here. Buffalo Wild Wings, TJ Maxx, Dick's Sporting Goods, Old Navy, Macy's, Cinema, Hong Kong Buffet, Bank. So these outer lots are mainly restaurant, Mexican restaurant, pizza restaurant, Buffalo Wings, don't know the names, Twigs, Indiana? Twigs, Indiana? I thought it was Indian food, but it says Indiana. Wheatland Bank, Hong Kong Buffet, Verizon Wireless, Barnes & Noble, Krispy Kreme, Arby's, AT&T. So we got AT&T, Verizon Wireless, T-Mobile, and so what went in over here? It was Xfinity by Comcast. So another telecommunications store. So theoretically, a telecommunications store could go into our property too. But that was a one-off, and all the stuff that's being built in the last 3 years. That's the only telecommunications. It's much more food, like Domino's. So let's jump back into, those are the ones that I found. I'm sure there's more. I don't think my list is conclusive, but I'm trying to cut out the stuff that's not like what's happening on this property or could happen on this property. I think this one So looking at all these ones that's being built recently, it looks like a Domino's. Domino's ought to go put their next location in here. So maybe I should search around and see if there's a Domino's right around it. Let's look for Domino's in Walla Walla, Washington, right? I mean, I should have done this before the video, but I didn't realize that that other one, the pie, I thought it was like grandma's pies. I didn't realize it was pizza pies. See if we get a map of Domino's in Walla Walla, Washington. Okay, so Domino's Pizza. So here's one. I want a map. See if we got them on a map. So here's Domino's Pizza. Where is this? Domino's. Okay, so there's a Domino's up the street, I'm thinking. I think we're over here somewhere. Yeah, here's Big Five Sporting Goods. So we're over here, and Domino's is up here. So maybe Domino's isn't, but someone like a Domino's could go down here. It looks too close to put a new Domino's in, but there's my research. That's what I'm coming up with. There's always different landlords and different entrepreneurs and different people who come up with different uses for these properties than what I'm coming up with anywhere around Washington that these other people are using properties for. I mean, go put your dentist office here. You could put a couple different shops like that. I like that Wing Stop and Panda Express in the same building. You just copy that same building with the same plan and stick it on this lot and use up this parking lot, make it happen. So drive a bunch of traffic in there that can go shop at the sporting goods and the Petco, and they can bounce off of each other and ripple off of each other, and vice versa. When people go shop at those shops, they can come shop at the restaurant or whatever it is that somebody wants to build here. So there's my research. There's my looking into this and trying to figure out what this property could be used for and what it could be priced for. I'm not learning anything new on the pricing. It's not like these people are trading these properties for $100,000 or $1 million, or a lot of them seem to be in the 300s. So that seems to be what's happening in the greater state of Washington for a property like this. They seem to be going in the 300 something $1,000 range in today's markets. And we're asking 284 or 500 and looking for a bid. Thanks for listening. Thanks for watching. See you in the next one. Bye.